Good evening, everyone. I'm Leah Cooper with your JCN News for this Wednesday, October 7th. Nassauvians and Abaconians bracing themselves for a long holiday weekend indoors off the heels of the Prime Minister's announcement this morning in the House of Assembly. With the details, we go to our Lissy Bastian.
Urgent challenges on New Providence and Abaco when it comes to the country's fight against the global pandemic COVID-19 require new restrictions and a variety of multidimensional measures. Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis announced those measures in the House of Assembly this morning during a brief sitting. Dr. Minnis says if there is further deterioration in the COVID-19 situation on the most populated island, New Providence, there's risk of a collapse of the healthcare system. Dr. Minnis says no one likes lockdowns or full restrictions as they are hard on family life, businesses, and finances. However, he says the measures are designed and targeted to reduce and control the spread of COVID-19 on New Providence and Abaco.
In order to balance the health, economic, and social needs of the country at this time, the Cabinet has agreed to a variety of measures for both New Providence and Abaco. The measures we are taking are multi-dimensional and include enforcement of regulations as well as encouragement and ongoing public education. But the greatest measure, Mr. Speaker, is still individuals' responsibility. I want to repeat that. The greatest measure is individuals' responsibility. Just as we are individually responsible for our personal health in terms of what we eat, exercise, and other good habits, we are responsible for wearing masks and following other guidelines. But because COVID-19 is very contagious, we also have an individual, moral, and civic responsibility to protect other people from catching the virus from us.
Effective October 9th, this weekend, there will be full 24-hour weekend lockdowns from Friday 7 p.m. to Monday 5 a.m.
This holiday weekend, there will be a full 3-day, 24-hour curfew beginning Friday, the 9th of October at 7 p.m. to 5 a.m., Tuesday, the 13th of October. Again, this weekend curfew will only be effective for New Providence and Abaco.
During these weekend 24-hour curfews, only essential services, including the uniformed branches, customs and immigration departments, public health services, sanitation services, and essential utility services will be permitted to operate. Sea and airports will continue to operate, and there will be no interruption to flights. Dr. Minnis says the only other movement beside essential services will be for 1 hour of worship services on Saturdays and Sundays between the hours of 7 a.m. and 1 p.m. No food stores, pharmacies, gas stations, construction sites, or laundromats will be permitted to operate during the full 24-hour weekend curfews.
For New Providence and Abaco, the weekday curfew, Monday to Friday, will now be from 7 p.m. nightly to 5 a.m. the following morning. No, and I repeat, no social gatherings will be permitted whatsoever. And the police will be aggressive for pursuing those aggressively in the case of any Airbnb. This will be strictly enforced in order to reduce and control the spread of COVID-19.
Now, a confidential hotline for citizens to report on those hosting social gatherings has been established. That hotline number is 702-9967-9. Also, during the week, religious services may continue based on the Bahamas Christian Council guidelines approved by the Ministry of Health. Churches may also open for individual prayer during the week. Only 10 persons, in addition to the officiant and the undertakers, may attend a funeral, which may now only be held at the graveside. No wakes or repasts are permitted. In addition to the officiant, only 10 people will be permitted at a wedding. Wedding receptions will not be permitted. Now, with schools only just beginning the 2020-2021 school year, Dr. Minnis also noted that schools on New Providence and Abaco may proceed, but virtually.
I also wish to advise that beaches and parks on New Providence and Abaco will once again be closed. Exercise is permitted in one's neighborhood Monday to Friday between the hours of 5 a.m. to 7 p.m. Exercise on the weekend may take place only within an individual's yard. Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, and regrettably, unfortunately, gyms will once again be closed. I acknowledge that they were only very recently opened. We will try to open them again as soon as possible.
With the workplace now being the COVID-19 hotspot, the Prime Minister is encouraging those who can work from home to do so and makes a strong appeal to those businesses that are not complying with health and safety protocols, such as mask wearing, physical distancing, and proper sanitization, to do so immediately, adding that it's the right thing to do legally and ethically. Dr. Minnis says fines for breaching protocols will be doubled. The Prime Minister says his government uses science and data and listens carefully to experts to guide policy. He says the persistently high case numbers on New Providence have placed immense strain on the healthcare system and medical professionals. He added that hospitals are full and medical teams have been pushed to their capacity. For JCN News, I'm Lucy Bastian.
Well, a peeved opposition leader stood at the steps of Senate this afternoon launching a scathing response to the Prime Minister's recent restrictive measures on New Providence and Abaco. Now, Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis this morning reintroduced a full 24-hour weekend lockdown with the nightly curfew on Mondays through Fridays in effect between 7 p.m. and 5 a.m. beginning next week, Tuesday, October 13th. Mr. Davis contends that the lockdown isn't a plan.
All a lockdown does is press pause. On Tuesday morning, we are back where we had started. Instead, we need a plan to stop the spread of COVID. Not a lockdown, but a plan. And if the plan includes a lockdown, the other aspects of the plan has to be made known. We need widespread testing, and it needs to be free. We need results returned quickly after testing so people know if they have to be isolated. We need a government that understands that this is an airborne virus, that outdoors is safer than indoors. We need to make workplaces safer. And we need to support people instead of punishing them.
Mr. Davis adds that the newly implemented restrictive measures is an act of punishment towards the Bahamian people.
It feeds into the narrative that Bahamians are not cooperating. And I share a different view. The measures are coercive. Coercion is not the way. seeking to get cooperation is the way, in my view.
He further contends that the government has no plan regarding the economic fallout of the pandemic, adding that the decisions of the government always seem to be knee-jerk reactions. Now, as far as the tourism sector's November 1st reopening goes, the Prime Minister says the government's taking these measures in an effort to reduce the country's case numbers before then. Asked to respond, Mr. Davis says this.
History and the precedent has shown that that statement is nothing but sophistry. Just look at what has happened. As I indicated, a lockdown is but a pause, and you need more than a lockdown. And I dare say that lockdown as a tool in the hands of this government has proved useless. After every lockdown, we have not had a flattening, we have not had a decrease, we have had a spike in the spread of the virus. And so it doesn't follow that what he says about a lockdown, and it doesn't make sense.
Prior to opening the country's borders on July 1st, the country had a little over 100 confirmed cases of COVID-19. Fast forward 3 months later, and the total is now 4,632 cases, 113 of which are hospitalized and 102 deaths. On the bright side, though, there have been at least 2,537 recovered cases to date. Scores of Atlantis workers protest on the Eastern Parade grounds with posters reading, "I gonna need that ting," and "Fight today so our kids can enjoy tomorrow," while shouting, "We want our money now," demanding that their employer provide them with severance pay. Managing Director of Operation Sovereign Bahamas, Adrian Francis, who spearheaded the protest, says this.
This is a revolution that has started in this country. Yes. No other foreign investors filled rough and into this country, left the tax bills on us. Right. The government just paid the visa to Alukaya. The government paid that. We paid that. Princess did the same thing. They snuck out and never paid the bill. We cannot let Brookfield, I don't care how sweet the talk is, they can't leave without leaving some money.
No Clico deal here.
They cannot leave.
Another Clico.
We understand. But we can put another Clico. We can put a lien against their assets. We know that we can get the money that way. We don't want to go there now. We don't want to go with the lien. Make Brookfield pay. Make Bahama pay. Don't mind the 30% from Bahama. Don't mind the 30%. This is a game that people play to buy time. But Atlantis is not going to open before March of next year. Nobody's going to travel during the presidential election. Nobody's going to, all the winter travels has already been planned and gone. The Bahamas is a hot spot.
A 14-year employee of the resort, Portia McKinsey, she spoke with our news team demanding the money owed to her, while another worker, Kizzy Brown, who shares the same tenure, says she too is fed up and tired.
I just want out 14 years in the resort call center. It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. That's like 10 jobs in one. All I want is my package. I have a trade. I can live. You understand? I can live. I've been home from March. I've never had a high blood pressure. I was taken off that job by ambulance in the parking lot. Right now, I am just tired. I want out.
What is mine? It's my money and I want it now. I am tired. I have been out of a job for 7.5 months now. I have 6 kids. My husband also works at Atlantis. So all 2 of us right now are out of a job. We are unemployed. I am just tired and sick of the lies.
Now, protesters had planned to march over to the Sir Sidney Poitier Bridge to the Atlantis Resort. However, they were stopped by officers as they did not obtain a permit from the Commissioner of Police. Today's gathering was classified as an unlawful assembly, and we understand that one person was arrested from today's protest for idle assembly and inciting a protest. You're watching JCN News. Stay with us.
This segment of the news was brought to you by Alive.